Most men have small. Listen, I don't know if men know this.
I think
I'm not done. I'm not done. Men need to hear this. Most of y'all, listen, what camera am I looking? Most of y'all have small. Most of y'all have small.
Yo, imagine a day that a man can scream from the mountaintops that I don't want no sloppy roast beef, twisted labia minoras and vajayjays. Imagine that. All right, guys, you're looking at the thumbnail. Y'all looking at the title of the video. Y'all already know what time it is. It is time to get active. Superhead. She has been connected to and wrote a book about several rappers, basketball players like sports athletes, actors, and the like. Turns out she actually has a podcast. So immediately, and finding out that she has a podcast, I said to myself, oh, there's undoubtedly a bunch of bullshit that she's saying. And I was right. Without further ado,
let's get into slut shaming because I can't with you today.
All right.
It's the stigmatization of a woman. So let me stop it. Is stigmatizing a woman for engaging in behavior judged to be as promiscuous or sexually provocative?
Okay.
And I left the part where it says a woman because listen, if you look up in the dictionary any of these words, slut, whore, tramp, strumpet, every definition in the dictionary starts with a woman who.
Haven't heard that one.
A woman. It very rarely says a person or a man or a woman who. These are terms that are strictly for women. You guys don't have these. They're not made for you. Don't do that.
I mean,
don't do that.
We get called F-boy.
Facts.
You guys don't have
nice logic.
The whole world judging and telling you what to do with your body. We literally have the government telling us what to do with our bodies. The government.
Yeah.
Somebody somewhere right now is changing a law that tells us what we need to do with our bodies. When and how we can get birth control. When and how we should even be able to get abortions or even just care. Even just care.
And it's easy to complain about the government and sexual regulation when it's not you that's funding the US healthcare costs, when it's not you that is funding the men that were raised in single mother homes that are now in the prison systems or are being destructive in their communities.
And then also, when and how we should have sex and not have sex. The problem with slut shaming is this. Slut shaming is born in the insecurities of men. And your insecurities are born in your penises and your wallet size.
It's very easy to say that slut shaming is based off of a insecurity when the reality of sexually transmitted disease can mean a lifelong illness. Let me give you guys some facts. There's over 20 million new STD infections every year. Almost 50% of them are among people between the ages of 15 to 24, costing the US healthcare system $16 billion annually. The female anatomy is not set up in a way to have an incredible amount of sex partners. One of the first things that I think about is the equalization of y'all pH, the yeast infections, the bacterial infections that guys don't have to worry about.
Because honestly, and I'm gonna be super frank here, I never heard a big dick man with not just big dick energy, not just BDE, but a man who's well endowed. I've never seen a well endowed man call a woman a whore.
And what you fail to incorporate within your talking points is that a young woman that leads a promiscuous lifestyle is more likely to end up pregnant by a man who she's not sure who the father is, therefore more likely to commit paternity fraud in that situation, thereby robbing that young person from their biological father. This is the reality that you will just roll your eyes at as if introducing a word such as slut shaming and its negative connotations really just doesn't mean having boundaries and or frameworks to lead a good and or conducive life.
Okay. It's always the men who can't handle a sexually advanced woman in the bedroom.
Okay. We're gonna call it sexually advanced now. Yo, words matter. And she called it sexually advanced. I like strumpet better. Let's move on.
Lori Harvey kissed a bunch of frogs. And it's not her fault that none of them were good enough. That's their fault.
Wow. Okay.
If you were a big enough man in more ways than one, you might have been able to keep her. But you weren't good enough. You weren't big enough. You weren't man enough. You weren't something enough for her based on her standards, most likely.
Wow.
And she moved on. And we can't stigmatize women moving on. Y'all want us to settle for less so bad.
Let's go to Hollywood real quick and let's take a look at Kim K and Kanye. Everyone says that slut shaming and body counts don't matter. But y'all see right now what Kanye's being put through. He ain't 100% innocent with it, but look at all of the bullshit that he's currently going through. Can it be taken that her prior decisions in life would have led you to understand where the relationship would have concluded in the future? I say yes.
And when a woman doesn't settle for less and she knows when to zip and zap and dip and dive, you're like, oh, she's a slut because you're not good enough for her. Now she belongs to the streets. And it's always the men with 17 kids talking about you belong to the streets. Bro, you are the streets. You are the dirty, nasty, rat infested. You're a rat carrying a pizza on a subway in New York, nigga. You are the streets.
When women like this speak about men, they're often just speaking about the athletes, the entertainers, the drug dealers, much more dudes that are much more fast money making. But they often don't speak about or think about the average man who generally wants relationship and children.
But because you're not enough for her, and then she ends up with Michael B. Jordan.
This is a good one.
Who is a beautiful man inside and out, I'm sure. And obviously he can hold her attention. This is what I always say. It's not the first. Remember when Ray J was like, I hit it first. Like, it ain't cute to be the first. That's not the cute one. It's the last. Who's good enough to be the last? The first is easy. I'm experimenting, bro. Of course you were the first. I don't know what I'm doing. You don't know. It's fine. But if I'm an experienced woman who has done my sexual due diligence, who has dated and kissed all the frogs, and then you are the prince and you get to be the last one, you're the one who lets me see that I don't want any of that, and I'm gonna stay right here.
And that's what's dangerous about this narrative, is that average women will listen to bullshit like this and then go live a free-spirited life. And then when they're tired of the assholes, they're gonna ask themselves, where did all the good guys go? Saying that you need to go through many men to understand the things that you truly want is like saying a person needs to shoot up hard drugs, commit felonies, become a dealer, all to really understand what it is that they want to do in life.
Marry the slut.
Marry the slut.
That's a bar.
Because you're gonna be having awesome sex at home all the time. You're gonna get anal every night. You're gonna get head every day. You'll be teabagging. You'll be on the chandelier. You'll be in the car, on the beach. You'll be, all kinds of shit's gonna go down. There'll be friends coming. You don't know whatever kind of freak you need. Marry that person.
Listen, sex is important, but unless you're a porn star, sex is not what's going to put bread and butter on the table. This is very low value, low barometer, and dim thinking.
Most men have listen, I don't know if men know this.
I think
I'm not done. I'm not done. Men need to hear this. Most of y'all, listen, what camera am I looking? Most of y'all have small most of y'all have small penises.
Yo, imagine a day that a man can scream from the mountaintops that I don't want no sloppy roast beef, twisted labia minoras and vajayjays. Imagine that if he could talk freely about the smell. That's what you call the double standard woke bullshit in action.
You've seen porn. You know how big they get. They get pretty big. And once a woman figures that out, she ain't going back to 6 inches or 5 or 4. Some of them are like a cool inch. I was married to a man who had a cool 1.5 inches. I know because I measured it. Trust me. It's not good. We are fed up.
I see.
We are tired of small penises.
But fair enough though. Come over here and talk shit about men with average to below average members. But here's the thing, on this side of the internet, we are warning these men about women just like you. Dear men, do not provide any financial commitment to women like this. Don't provide any resources and don't take care of their children. Instead, when you see them, run for the hills.
I was raped at 13.
Oh.
I was kidnapped, held against my will for 3 days, and raped at 13.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And then that was my first sexual experience. It changed, and so my power was taken from me through sex. And that's a very powerful statement to a young girl. And I see this repeated in a lot of women in my life sexually and in a lot of our sexual lives, how much power we give up in our sexuality, how many women are thinking that their sexuality is their power.
Now, it's clear at this point that her background of her sexual assault history plays directly into the way that she conceptualizes all of the things that she's saying. And the thing is that when you've experienced trauma like that, if you haven't gone through substantial amounts of therapy to remove the bullshit, then you begin to create a narrative for yourself that makes sense to over encumber the trauma. So what her mindset is doing is to say, at a point in my life, I was overpowered. So how do I make what I was overpowered for not matter anymore into the future? And these modern women today are looking at the logic path of what she communicates, not understanding, number one, the results that she's had in her life, but then number two, the traumas that she's had in her life as well, but they just pick up the things that pander to living in a frictionless, a boundaryless society. And it doesn't help you understand that of the guys that you want a valuable dude, what do they want? And unless you're a call girl that they pay to eventually leave and they're looking for someone to be their significant other, they're not looking for superheads. Questions, comments, concerns? Y'all already know what to do. Mediocre tutorials and reviews at gmail.com. Guys, I want to see you extremely active down in the comment section for this one. Am I right? Am I wrong? I want to see your comments down below and make sure you put the timestamp so I know exactly which portion of the video that you are talking about. Last but not least, I got a Patreon. If you guys are interested in being a part of my inner circle, there's a link to it down in the description box down below. We do so many amazing things over there that never get put on YouTube, but beam up, take a look, and y'all know where to find me. Until next time, YouTube.